Now, let's get right over the phones because carving time out of his busy schedule is our friend Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Congressman, good morning to you.
Yo, good morning. How are you? You caffeinated? You good to go? You ready to take on the world?
I pretty much am, but it seems as though you've already hit the caffeine, too.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you what, for those that don't remember, the very first time I did your show in person, I think it might even be the first time, I came in and, man, that coffee you had was like 8 times strength. So our running joke has been that it's basically like coffee pie. You got to slice it.
Yep. Things get tense in Congress. There's lots of meetings. Sometimes the hours go. The congressman will call me and go, all right, just talk me through coffee. I can't have it, but just talk me through the coffee you make. I need it to get through the rest of the night.
How long do you put it in the oven for to get it that thick?
It's just when you need a steak knife to cut off a good bite in the morning, you know you've done it just right. Hey, lots of things to talk to you about this morning. Let's get right to one that people have been wondering about. What's going on with your seat, for one? I know you issued a statement just the other day, as a matter of fact, on this very topic and redistricting and map making and all that. Tell us where we stand with that.
Yeah, I mean, so as of this moment, the one draft that's out is it takes us from basically 5 Republicans, and it's not a friendly map to Republicans. Now, the question is, if you look at the map and what would be considered some Democratic districts, in a good Republican year, certainly wouldn't go Democratic. And so there was a lot of Democratic angst. So my house is actually drawn into Illinois' 3rd district, which is Marie Newman, who, as you all may know, is basically the equivalent. She's a pretty far left-winger in Chicago. But we expect this map is going to change. There was a lot of Democratic angst. Look, the Democrats, despite Governor Pritzker saying he was all for fair maps and transparency, which
he literally ran on that. That I would veto if it's not fair and all that. Then we get this chunk of unfairness coming down. He gives it the big thumbs up. It's
incredible. And you think about the fact that they had basically 2 hearings, which were perfunctory in essence. And then they had a hearing on Friday, the last hearing for the congressional map, in which the map was released 4 hours prior to that hearing, which was supposed to be to hear from the community. So, look, it's what we expect. We expect that over the next few weeks, this probably is going to continue to go on. And look, I just want to say on my side of things, if I get drawn out and don't have a district to run in, it's not the end of my life. Quite honestly, it's sometimes you take what God says in terms of where to go and what to do, and you take it for what it is. I won't be upset, and I'll look at statewide possibilities too.
Okay. Yeah, I just, this has been a bubbling topic and has been going on. And like you said, we've had meeting after meeting, and we're supposed to have a hearing, but we released the results of what the hearing's going to be before we have the hearing. All of it smells bad going in. And of course, the idea of drawing out a Republican seems to be very appealing to them.
Yeah. And, look, it's I think they want to go from basically 5 Republicans, not just to 4, but to 3, or, if they can make that work, or even maybe 2. And, look, it's sad because if the entire, 16th district that I represent is a very Republican district. And, under the current iteration of the map, a good solid amount that ends up in a Democratic district or a competitive district. But, we'll have to see. I think it changes. But for me personally, look, I'm at peace no matter what happens. I truly am. And while I'll fight for the Republican, position and stuff, don't cry, not that anybody would.
That's a great way of looking at it, too. Speaking of what's going on in Congress, now the administration I see this morning has lowered their spending bill wants to between $1.75 trillion to $1.9 trillion, down from, $3.5 trillion. These numbers are astronomical, mind-boggling, and frightening.
Well, they really are. And, let's think about the fact, too, that this is on top of the couple trillion that was spent right when Joe Biden was inaugurated post-COVID. I voted against that. But I guess, you can kind of understand and see the argument to be made for that spending, although that was too much. But, now we also have this bipartisan infrastructure bill, which I hope to be able to support, which is actually, again, a bipartisan bill for infrastructure that we need. But that's on top. This, now $2 trillion from $3.5 trillion is on top of that. So I guess to the extent, as Republicans have no control of the federal government, to the extent we see that number come down, that's always good. But let's just keep in mind, Joe Biden went in claiming to be a healing, president, and instead has tried to push, whether him or others behind him, has tried to push a pretty intense left-wing agenda. And sadly, we have to sit here and think, Kirsten Sinema and Manchin for holding back on that.
Yeah, they seem to be the two that are keeping the entire dam from crumbling here, and the slings and arrows that have gone their way have been pretty extraordinary to see.
Yeah, I mean they're certainly an island of their own, and but I have a lot of respect for them. Well, and I served with Kirsten Sinema in the House, and I'll tell you, her moderacy surprises me. She was not like a huge liberal, but I never saw her as any cornerstone of moderacy, but I think she's a good politician. She knows Arizona, and the same with Mr. Manchin.
We're now being told by the White House that we as Americans should not be complaining about a supply chain issue and some of the things that go along with the ancillary problems. We just need to lower our expectations.
Yeah, I mean, and I think this is like, I don't know if it was Jen Psaki or somebody at one point called this a first world concern or something.
Yeah, the tragedy of the delayed treadmill.
Yeah, this is incredible. And plus, there's concerns about the food shocks. And now I want to be clear to everybody, don't go out and hoard food, because it's not like we're going to run out of food. I think the question is, you may not have a certain kind of beef one day or a certain kind of chicken one day, and prices may increase. We're not going to go hungry. But yeah, I mean, look, I think this is the problem with politics of late, is people don't take responsibility anymore. And, look, did Joe Biden himself go out and create the supply chain problem? No. It's a result of COVID and a result of some of those things. But he is president of the United States and say it's not my fault doesn't give the American people comfort. This is an issue. We have, 5-6% inflation right now. Hopefully that's temporary, but as of now, it hasn't seemed to come down. And the American people deserve solutions, and we have been, bereft, minus solutions for the last basically many, many years in this country.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. Yeah, when you hear, you'll need to lower your expectations. Supply chain problem is because the president's policies are working so well. And my favorite of last week was when the spokesperson said that the American people are not comparing what they're spending 2 years ago with what they are spending now.
Yeah,
I don't know a single household where that's accurate.
I don't either, and that's nuts. And I mean, all you have to see is that Social Security went up 5.5%. A COLA increase, which sounds great if you're on Social Security until you realize that that's because that's what inflation went up.
Right.
I don't understand it. It's reminiscent of Afghanistan, where instead of, I think there is 100% accurate blame to go to Donald Trump for setting up Afghanistan. But you cannot say that the disaster that happened on the withdrawal is Donald Trump's fault when that was executed by Joe Biden. So, let's be clear and accurate with people. And that's what this administration going in and promising, a new era or whatever has certainly failed to live up to that.
You got cops and firefighters now, healthcare workers getting fired over vax mandates. We went from 10 days to flatten the curve to show me your papers. Where do you stand on this?
Well, look, I want to see everybody get vaccinated. I've gotten my booster even. I'm in the category where I can get my booster. I want to see people get that done. I don't want to see people use vaccines as a tattoo of your politics. If you don't get vaccinated, fine, it's your choice. But don't do that because it shows your loyalty to some party, because that's called tribalism, and we need to get out of that. Now, on the heavy-handed stuff, some of the public sector stuff, I am supportive of vaccine mandates because, if you choose to serve the public and be in contact with public, you should be vaccinated, as you have to be by the 500,000 shots, and I have to get one every year for the flu. But at the same time, we need to find a way to give an exception to somebody who's had COVID to be able to prove that natural immunity. We need to be able to, have an exception for if you choose to test. But I also think everybody, left and right, need to get out of making this a, tattoo of our politics, because this is, it's real, right? And we just need to get past this.
Yeah, and screaming at one another at the top of your lungs, chastising those who are unvaccinated, we're treading water here and we're not getting anywhere.
No, and it'll get you a couple likes on Facebook, but you're going to feel, trust me, you'll get that temporary dopamine hit. This is real science, by the way. You'll get a dopamine hit, and then you'll end up sitting around really sad and depressed because you need another dopamine hit. That's how it works.
That's absolutely true. If we're going to follow the science, let's look at the social media science. Right Amen. There it is. Congressman, as always, I know how busy you are. We appreciate you carving time out for us. So we'll look forward to getting together again next month.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Take care.
Congressman Adam Kinzinger.